So today, while I was at work, if you don't know, I'm an English teacher in Japan since 2004. Yay. Anyway, I was at work and I had a few minutes. And so I started looking around online, thinking about stuff I could talk to you guys about. And then it hit me. I realized that there's a lot of content here on YouTube that really doesn't give the full picture of what life is like here. And I thought it would be interesting if I do a little reverse engineering and find some content for Japanese people and introduce that data to you guys to give you a better picture about how Japanese people think, how normal Japanese people think. And I came up with some good stuff for you. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'll also give you a cool bonus at the end of this video. If you stick around to the end, I'll give you a really useful website that you can use if you want to peruse around these type of websites or nightclub stuff or stuff like that. I should start promoting this, but it's kind of well known here in Japan, but I don't think it's as known for people who are new here. So just stick around to the end. Trust me, I got something good for you. Cheating has been a really big topic on YouTube in the past year or so. And since it's taken off, there's been a lot of fake information, inaccurate information, and skewed information that I kind of want to give my take on based on some data for Japanese people and also my personal insights. It's going to be interesting. So let me give you some background information as always. Basically, I was looking around for some articles and I found an interesting one about specifically about cheating, just because it's been such a hot topic. Some Japanese YouTubers have kind of voiced their frustration on the issue. I want to add my 2 cents, even though I'm a little bit late. I think it's still fine. And I found an article about married Japanese women specifically and why they cheat. Looking at the list of subtopics and some of the data that they give, I think it's going to be give a better picture about what happens and what happens with cheating here in Japan. And I think it will kind of help correct some of the misinformation and disinformation that's really been going on the topic. Now, I'm not doing this to really throw shots at any of the YouTubers who do these type of street interview, cheating in Japan, whoop-de-whoop type of things. But it really, if you don't know, those interviews are basically done in a specific way to of course, for shock value, as like all street interviews nowadays are done for. Like it seems like they're done with girls who are like from girls bars, hostesses, or just club girls or stuff like that. Not really everyday Japanese girls that or women and that you will see and encounter like 80-90% of the time if you're in Japan for an extended period of time. Also, an important point I want you to understand: 9 times out of 10, a regular Japanese girl or Japanese woman is not going to give that type of detailed information in a street interview or something that will be given online. Remember, in Japan, it's a very conservative society. People are very, focused on their privacy and stuff like that. So you're not really gonna get a regular person telling you about cheating or, their body count or stuff like that. They're just not gonna do that. So anybody who gives that type of information automatically is a little bit off in some type of way. That's not the norm at all. So please understand that if you do consume that type of content, it is for shock value. And I'm pretty sure that person had to sort through like, 500 boring interviews to get the 3 or 4 or 5 really crazy ones. And they just throw that online. But anyway, let's get into the good stuff. So let me translate this article for you. It's married Japanese women's cheating ratio. Again, I'm reading it in Japanese. And the 7 reasons why Japanese women cheat introduced is kind of what it says. Again, I will leave the article, the full article, for you guys. So this website is from rabittante.com. Tante is detective, so I guess it's some type of detective services. I don't really know in detail, but again, like I said before, the link will be below if you want to go a little bit deeper into Rabbit Tante, whatever they do. It seems like it's like a detective service, but I don't know. But I like the information that they gave, and there's some good stuff that we can talk about. So according to this website, 16.3% of Japanese married women cheat, right? And I'd say that's pretty, not like as sensational as you might think about online, right? Of course, we're talking about married people in serious relationships. We don't really have age groups and stuff like that, but I'd say like that sounds about right to me. Now, the interesting thing, if you, of course, I'm posting this like somewhere here. The interesting thing to look at this, basically the big number, the 14.8 number, is cheaters with only one partner, right? There's only less than 1% who have more than one partner or several partners. Now, what that tells me is that even though these women are cheating, they're not really doing it all willy-nilly out in the streets like you might have the impression of. They're not like, carnivores, if you know what I'm saying. Generally, they're trying to find their love and affection somewhere that they're not able to get in their original relationships for several reasons, which will get into in a little bit. But they're not like running around like on apps, like meeting people left and right and center. They just really have a boyfriend, you know what I'm saying, or someone that they use for other physical needs and stuff like that. But I mentioned in another video, Japanese women are kind of compartmentalized in that way. And I've heard many women say, their husband is a good provider, but they're not like romantically interested in them. And I encourage you, if you want an example of this, go, if you have Netflix and you're into, one of my guilty pleasure shows is Love is Blind. If you watch I was so excited when it came out. If you watch the Japanese version of Love is Blind, I really encourage you to do that, especially if you're interested in getting married in Japan, or you have a Japanese girlfriend, you're in your late 20s or older. Watch the Japanese version of Love is Blind and compare it to the Western ones. You'll see that I think is pretty accurate, that for the average Japanese person, average Japanese couple, of course, except for like one or two reality show people that they snuck in there, their general concern is everyday life, the future. It's not passion, love, and things like that. It's how are we going to build a life together, right? And that's the more of the base reason the average Japanese person is getting married. I want a stable life. I want kids. I want a future with someone. That's one thing. The passion, the love, all the other stuff is another category. And as you can see here, if their regular partner doesn't satisfy that side, then significant but not as big amount that you might think of Japanese women go looking for in other places. Now, if we look at an age breakdown of it, here's what we can see. If you notice, the peak of these is women in their 40s. And it might be kind of contrary to what you might think, I don't know, but think about it. Like in their 20s and 30s, basically Japanese women are pretty busy with work, raising kids and stuff like that. 40s, kids get older, maybe they might be moving out, going to college, they're independent, and they can start moving around if especially if, their husbands, the marriage has become stale and they're, not really feeling satisfied as well. As women maybe peak later in life than men in the bedroom area. Again, this is YouTube, so I can't say certain words. But if their husband's like an everyday salary man, maybe he's not as active, as vital as he used to be, then she might, want to scratch that itch somewhere else. But again, as we've seen, is she's not running around all over like Japan, or doing that. She maybe finds a partner that really matches her needs in that way and just locks in on that. Again, that category of person. That's it. It's just compartmentalized, like I've said in another video, which I'll probably put a link to somewhere over here. So now let's get into some of the reasons why. A quick one I'll touch on, it says that it's just easier nowadays because there are dual income women. Again, in the past, Japanese women were more housewives, so they were kind of connected to the house, didn't really move around that much. But now they're more independent, have more money, have more, more disposable income. So of course they can move around and go for a drink, go for dinner on their own without really taking from the family's money. I'm not really gonna focus on the website data so much. I'm just gonna take the subtitles and put my own spin on things. But that kind of makes sense to me. And, it's just a product of modern times. But generally, this is kind of a new thing here in Japan. So it might be like, duh to you. But here in Japan, that's really been something that's become a standard, I'd say, in the past. Like since I've been here, it started becoming a standard. But even when I came here, 20 years ago, it wasn't really like, oh yeah, dual income families are just like all over the place. There were and still are a fair amount of housewives. So it just really depends on the area, the income level, things like that. And generally speaking, my impression here in Japan, the higher the income level goes, especially among businessmen or salarymen, as we say in Japan, the more time they're spending at work, the more time they're spending away from home, the less they really see their significant other as, a woman and more like a mother figure who's there to take care of the house and the kids and stuff like that, which again leads to dissatisfaction in that area and leads to other activities. Another really interesting reason, which is of course is obvious, so I won't talk about it that much, is it's just easier to do nowadays. We have well, I don't have it in my hand, like I'm using it to record, but we have like smartphones which we can use to meet people pretty much at any time we want. So of course it's easier for them to find someone who's willing to, get with them either on online apps, social media, things like that. It's just it's easier. It's a lot easier nowadays. Next, they get into the difference between men and women and why, again, cheating happens. And I think this is a really important one too. To alleviate loneliness, like I've talked about before, if they're feeling lonely, they're feeling unappreciated in that area, in their house, in their life, their kids are in school, their husband's at work all day, they don't really have that, then they feel it with something else. I think that's pretty self-explanatory though. Another pretty standard one, they need excitement. Again, Japan is a pretty mundane place, right? We don't have that much crime here. There isn't really excitement on a day-to-day basis. It's just like you going shopping, going home, cooking dinner, doing stuff, maybe having lunch with your friends. It's a safe, stable place. But if you don't have any excitement in your life, or you haven't come from a place where there's any danger, excitement, or stuff like that, you're gonna maybe at that age, these women are gonna look for it some other places. And again, I wouldn't say like go out like, searching like they're everywhere kind of thing. But of course, in the realm of something that makes them feel comfortable and that doesn't threaten the stability of this area of their life, then yeah, they're gonna try and find a limited amount of excitement that they can handle. And which reminds me of a quick story. I remember I was having dinner one time, and it was this guy, and he was actually having an affair with a Japanese woman in her 40s, actually. And as the conversation went, I was hearing some of the details of their relationship. And, he was like, I don't know what she wants. Does she want to like move away with me and stuff like that? And I heard the relationship. And again, I'm not going to, he's probably not going to watch this, but, and you don't know who he is, but I'm not going to spill all the beans on his stuff. But I was just like, dude, you're her side piece. She's not your side piece. You are her side piece that she comes through when she wants to scratch her itch. And that's it. She doesn't want anything else from you at all. And I challenged the guy. I was like, look, if you think I'm wrong, ask her to go on a date one time and watch what happens. She will shut you down instantly, because she doesn't need you for anything else except for that, to feel some excitement, to fill the void that's within her. Everything else, she's already satisfied with that, and she's not going to risk everything else that she has established in her life for a fling with a foreign guy. It doesn't really work like that. So even if you are hoping to luck up, quote unquote, I don't know, in one of these type of relationships, don't think that it's gonna be some Ronnie romance, Pirates of the Caribbean type tryst, if you will. You will have like your time and your place that will be established, and that's it. So of course some of y'all might be like, I want that, but whatever, to each his own. Again, I'm just sharing information. This next one is an interesting one. If she's feeling some unease about the future, and they said basically like if, for example, they're moving around a lot, or because of, again, the husband's job, many times, like the company will transfer their employees to different parts of Japan, maybe even different parts of the world, and she might feel unease about that, for example, about the future, where she's going in her life and things like that. And partner might be there to fill the void, or something like that. Again, him making her feel secure in that situation might be a way for her to feel a need that isn't really being met by her husband. If you don't know, there are things called business bachelors where, again, if the husband is transferred to another part of Japan, literally he's gone and the core family stays, because it doesn't really make sense for the kids to be transferred and moving all around all over the place. I mean, it does happen both ways, but I think both are pretty common. Either the family moves together or the husband just goes and, the wife is like, I don't want to do that. The kids just got into a good private school. We're going to stay here. You do your thing. Another simple one, she just might have an itch she wants to scratch. I mean, there's nothing really more I need to say about that, but that's true. Another interesting one that they talk about is she might be pushed into it. Now, I'm not telling you this to do this or try this. I don't recommend doing this, and I'm not the kind of guy who has ever done things like that. But if a guy is persistent enough and wears her down, and she's kind of, probably my image is lonely or something like that. He might get some. It's a fact. Like, I think that's a universal thing. But I do think maybe like that type of wife might not feel appreciated or something like that. It's not like a growing desire to again grab a bunch of stuff. It's just more like filling a void within her. I think is a really important theme that you might notice in this. And I can kind of see that type of situation happening in a moment of weakness, or just a guy who's persistent for a lot of different reasons, sweet talking her and stuff like that. Hey, it works. Again, I think this is a thing between Japanese people more. Remember, the impression in English and Japanese are very different. You don't really need to do a whole lot of sweet talking if let's say, hypothetically, of course, a Japanese woman, 30s, 40s, whatever, housewife. I'm not encouraging you to go breaking up homes or anything like that. I'm just saying, hypothetically, since we're talking about married women, let's deal with that. I don't think in English you need that much pushing, you know what I'm saying? Because the impact of words in English and words in Japanese are very different. And so talking and communicating in English is kind of a separate category. So saying you're beautiful or something like that to a Japanese woman who's not really experienced with foreign guys is very different in her mind, I think. So you don't need to push like my impression of how, for example, a regular Japanese guy would push, you being like the sensitive, smooth foreign guy. I'm not trying to tell you this so you can do it, by the way. Okay. but I'm just telling you what I can imagine would be enough in that type of situation. Another one is she just wants to enjoy love and romance as much as possible, which yeah, makes sense. It is an important thing for a woman to feel like a woman, even if she's becoming older. For an older woman to feel like a young lady is a powerful thing. So I think that pretty much makes sense. It's pretty self-explanatory. The next one, similar to the other one before, she just wants to feel the thrill of cheating. She wants, again, I think that goes into the category of just wanting some excitement in her life. Nothing really much to add there. I think it's also pretty self-explanatory. Now, something that might be a little bit surprising for you is the places there where they meet their, uaki how do I say that in English? Their cheating partner is kind of what it translates to. The first one that they give is work. Now, you might think like, people having like work romances is not a big deal at all. But I would say, like, just my impression, the way it's handled here is very different than in Japan, than in the West, for example, America, for example. When I lived in America, and I think just from media and stuff like that, we in the West in general always have that kind of awareness of physicality, of if that's the word, of love or bedroom stuff, but I think in Japan it's very much bubbles under the surface. Is not something that people openly show or openly even express or even openly think about. Some people just don't even think in that way because they're so compartmentalized in their lives, or they've shut down that part of their brain in some ways. They don't see themselves that way. It's not something they think about. It's something kind of far away from them. And so at work, if it does happen, it is something that's not like, ooh, you're my type automatically. It's something that's kind of internalized, kept in the middle, kept down low, kept inside. Thank you. And when it does come out, it maybe come out at a drinking party or dinner party or karaoke or something like that. It's not like, yo, what's up, kind of let's go to the copy room kind of thing. It's more like a chance encounter, a chance, riding the train home together and having a deep conversation, becoming closer, and then it becomes more of a deeper emotional connection, or it's just like a drunk, sloppy kind of thing that happens, after like a dinner party or something like that. That's kind of what I've seen in the media. That's kind of, what I've heard about. Again, no, please, okay, don't put that on me. But in the West is more like, yo, what's up, or something like that. It's kind of my impression. So remember, it's more compartmentalized. On the surface, everything is strictly professional, and maybe either by chance or over time it becomes something more. But again, remember, like the data says, this is generally like more of a serious relationship. It's more like a one person, one-on-one kind of thing. It's not like running around, she's not like running around like, yo, what's up to everyone else, or who walks through the door. So keep that in mind as well, which kind of is how I would wrap my head around it, and how I would think about things. A reunion is another place. Like, the reunions are a really big thing here. I'm not talking about like your 10 year, 15 year, 25 year. Of course those happen. In Japan, people have reunions all the time. They're very casual. Of course they have some every year. I know some high schools and universities have huge ones where people from all over the country come in and get together, or groups of friends after a few years or 10 years. They really do stay in contact and hang out quite a bit here. Surprising amount to a surprising degree for me. But again, seeing a former classmate, seeing someone you used to have a crush on, or just getting to know someone that you went to high school, but you have that thing in common of going to the same school, lowers down the level of apprehension. Again, meeting new people, meeting random people isn't really as much of a thing here. Most women don't have the chance to get hit on by guys at all in their everyday life. Very few times, if much at all, unless they are literally going out, on the town. And even in that case, like a lot of guys trying to pick them up are probably they're not interested in at all. Like 95%, 98% are not interested in being like hollered at like that at all. So it's really not that many opportunities for a Japanese woman to be approached by a guy that is their type, and this is kind of one of the safe ways that lowers the level of apprehension and opens them up to that. So I can imagine like that's, I remember I heard the story, I can't really repeat it here, where a person almost went that route. He met someone after years apart and randomly at a hotel event. It was a kind of similar thing, and he basically was like, uh-oh, this this isn't good. And so he just like hightailed it back to his room, because he was drinking already, and he kind of knew where things would escalate to if he didn't get out of there. He's a Japanese guy. This is Japanese, among Japanese people. But it was a really entertaining story. It was like a TV show. But again, I'm not going to put his business out on the street. You don't know who he is. I won't give you all the details. But that's kind of what happened, according to him. DMs and stuff like DMs, matching applications, and they say websites and stuff like that. I don't really know too much about that world, but I would say, like, not only with just married women, but I would say my advice would be, if you are new to Japan or you are in Japan, I'd say shoot your shot. Like, it seems like if your Instagram game is pretty, locked down, and you have like a decent looking Instagram, like, yeah, shoot your shot. Again, my Instagram is trash. I don't really do anything. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do related to this content with it. But my Instagram is really weird. So I don't think, even if I was in the market for that, Japanese women would look at mine like, "Ugh, what is this?" But if your Instagram is put together well, maybe you have a decent amount of followers, yeah, and you see someone who's your type in your realm of followers, I guess how it works, probably go ahead and shoot your shot, man. And shoot a DM. Now, if you are doing that, I'm going to give you something that will help you. Again, I'm not recommending you do this to married women, but if you're single, ready to mingle, and you're looking for you're in Japan or coming to Japan, trying to line some things up. I've seen online that a lot of guys are using Google Translate to kind of communicate with Japanese women. That's a big mistake. Okay, don't do that. No, no, no. Instead of that, DeepL is much better at translation than Google Translate. So on dates, line messages or, dates line messages or DMs, like use DeepL. You can communicate a lot more deeply, a lot more naturally, translating from English to Japanese or Japanese to English. It's so much better. They have an app. I think it's a German company, but Japanese people use it. One of my students put me onto it. When I translated a bunch of documents or even like an ebook I did one time, I used that. It helped me out so much, and it's so much better, so much more accurate than Google Translate. Thank me in the comment. Let me know with a like or whatever if you think what you think about this. And here's another video related to dating and stuff like that. Talk to you soon.